His wife poured wine on him and called him unworthy of being in her elite circle, not realizing that he was the owner of the company that signed her $800 million transaction. She was crushed by what he did next. "Hunter, you don't deserve to be in my exclusive group. You exude failure and poverty." In front of investors, photographers, and 200 guests, Olivia Caldwell threw those heartbreaking words at her husband before dousing his face in red wine. She was unaware that the man she had humiliated was the owner of the company that had given her the $800 million contract. Anyone's preconceived notions about love, betrayal, marriage, sacrifice, and retaliation would be called into question by what transpired next. If your wife doused you with wine in front of everyone, how would you respond, viewers? Leave a comment with your ideas. The Dallas skyline was framed by floor-to-ceiling windows and amber chandeliers in the Crescent Hotel's ballroom. There was a hint of ambition and champagne in the air, as Olivia Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Design Group, stood at the podium with her silver-gray outfit catching every ray of light. Reporters flocked to the stage, camera flashes going off. She had the night. She became one of the most sought-after female CEOs in Texas after her company ultimately secured the $800 million urban renewal contract with Trident Infrastructure Holdings. The hall was packed with investors, business executives, and the governor's deputy. The lady who had transformed doodles on cafe napkins into skyscrapers was the focus of every lens. Hunter Caldwell sat at a table in the rear, watching silently with his hands folded and his face impassive. He was dressed in a casual navy suit that would fit in with the crowd. There are no fancy cufflinks or monograms to reveal the subtle affluence hidden beneath his serene gaze. He had been her unspoken ally for years. She joked that he was too respectable for business. Olivia saw him as a kind but unambitious husband who was good for stability but not for power. Applause erupted when the MC said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the signing ceremony begins." Olivia grinned politely, enjoying the praise. She met Hunter's eyes as she left the podium. With a glass of champagne in his hand, he got up and approached her. His voice was barely audible to her, almost like a whisper. "Liv, you have my admiration. You put a lot of effort into this." Her smile wavered. "What are you doing here, Hunter?" he said. "I wanted to see you sign." "This is something you've worked for. You have my admiration." Curious, a few co-workers turned. She mustered a shaky chuckle. "That's lovely, but this is a business gathering. You are welcome to congratulate me at home." He started to say, "I thought," but she interrupted. "You had the incorrect idea. Hunter, these are the folks who make judgments worth billions of dollars. They are not a part of your universe." The tables were filled with murmurs. In the middle of pouring, a waiter froze. Hunter's eyes remained fixed. He said, "I'm not trying to embarrass you. I just wanted to spend a moment standing with you." Pride overcame reason as her cheeks reddened. Her voice tightened till it shook with venom as she reached for her glass of red wine. "Join me in standing? You are hardly able to defend yourself. Hunter, you don't deserve to be in my exclusive group. You're impoverished. Look at you. You are a stinking example of mediocrity. There is no class for you. Do you see these folks? Power is what they wear. Failure is what you wear." Someone let out a gasp. The space became motionless. She raised the glass. "Perhaps this will help you remember where you belong." The wine struck his face in a red rush that was chilly, startling, and purposeful. It ran in fine streams onto the marble floor, soaking his collar and splashing down his cheek. Like static, gasps spread. Just as his head rotated slightly from the hit, a photographer's flash shot off. "Next time, learn to stay within your circle," she remarked in an icy voice. Hunter remained still, not a muscle. One drop of the wine fell upon his sleeve as it trickled from his jawbone. Nobody in the hall dared to move for a long, breathless moment. He took a handkerchief from his pocket and carefully, slowly, wiped his face once. He had a quiet, almost serene tone when he spoke. "Comprehended." Then he pivoted. quiet dignity that was more acute than any eruption, without a raised voice or wrath. The crowd silently parted as he moved toward the exit. The echo of his sneakers on the marble was the only sound. Olivia watched him leave, her pulse pounding and her chest constricted with pride and adrenaline. "That was harsh," someone said, but she disregarded it. She let out a breath, threw the empty glass onto a tray, and adjusted her clothes. She forced a giggle and replied, "Let's continue. My spouse becomes emotional when he is successful." After hesitating, the host gave an uncomfortable nod. Obviously, if everyone could go back to their seats. As the cameras flashed again, she went back to the stage and lifted her chin. As if nothing had happened, she grinned at the audience. Hunter stopped outside on the Fairmont stairs in the dim light of the lamps. With his thumb hovering over two numbers that were already cued, he took out his phone. His face was unreadable, certain but neither furious nor hurt. The applause was muffled when the door shut behind him. Olivia continued to smile inside, not realizing that what she had just spoken had set off the quietest, most destructive storm of her life. He called the first number. "Pierce," the firm, businesslike voice said. Hunter said, "Terminate the contract." "Yes, sir," Pierce said without hesitation. "Effective right now. Declare it immediately." "Yes, sir." Hunter hung up. He scrolled and hit a different number. Hayes speaking. "Take out all of Caldwell Design Group's Black Elm Capital investment. Every account, every subsidiary," Hunter remarked, his breathing steady and his tone composed. "Yes, Mr. Caldwell. When finished, send confirmation to my private email." "Yes, sir." Hunter put down the phone and gazed up at the night sky. His face was covered in amber lines as the street lamps glinted against surrounding structures. On his collar, the wine had dried stiff. He was unconcerned. The orchestra within the ballroom switched to a softer song, the kind selected for festivities. 5 more minutes would not be enough. He fixed his jacket, put his phone in his pocket, and headed for his car. The cheers inside grew louder once more. For the cameras, Olivia raised her chin and grinned. The hall echoed with the host's speech. "Ladies and gentlemen, 2 of the most innovative companies in the country are entering into a historic $800 million alliance tonight. Let's applaud the visionary that is spearheading this new era." Cheers erupted throughout the room. Olivia's pen shone between her fingers as she held it over the gold-trimmed folder. The host handed the final document to Mrs. Caldwell and remarked, "If you'll do the honors." Basking in the lights, her smile became larger. She casually remarked, "It's an honor. A moment for which we have worked for years." A man in a charcoal suit hurried across the tables as she was ready to sign, his phone clamped to his ear. When an aide muttered something to him, his face's blood began to drain and his countenance transformed. After giving one nod, he moved to the front, his footsteps clicking through the cheers. In the middle of her speech, the host stumbled. "Sir?" With a low but eager voice, the man leaned in. The host became motionless. The audience started whispering. Olivia scowled. "Is there an issue?" "We've just received an order from the executive office," the man replied cautiously after straightening up and clearing his throat. "The signature of the contract is put on hold." Her pen stopped in midair. "Suspended? What are you discussing?" "I apologize, ma'am," he murmured in a tight, uncertain voice. "Less than a minute ago, the directive was sent. All processes must be stopped right now." "That's not possible," she yelled. "There must be a mistake." "I wish there were." He nodded at the executives who were already getting up, looking at each other and using their phones. The chatter in the hall changed from bewilderment to incredulity. Cameras were lowered by photographers. Mid-lift champagne toasts were halted. "What happened?" someone muttered. Olivia's heart pounded as she looked around. "No, this doesn't make sense. Such a deal would not be abruptly canceled by the CEO. Who issued the directive?" Nobody responded. The representative paused, looking sideways as though trying to find a way out. Then he muttered, "It came straight from the top." Her throat constricted. From above? Yes, ma'am. The words fell all around her like stones. The chairs scraped back. Executives started gathering computers and files. A few minutes ago, the lights had been cozy, but now they were scorching and cruel. With her phone shaking in her grasp, the helper hurried forward. Olivia, there's a problem. Black Elm just sent us an email. They are taking all of their investments out. Olivia's voice broke. With immediate effect, all funding support has been withdrawn, they stated. Olivia stared at the screen, her heart pounding in her ears as she blurred the words, "Future communication not required." It came from the director's office. That isn't feasible. The voice of her assistant trembled. They're our anchor investor. No longer. The Trident man closed his folder and turned to walk away. I apologize deeply, ma'am. Olivia felt her knees weaken. I'm afraid we're done here. Hold on, she yelled. You can't simply leave. We made a deal. However, he had already crossed the floor halfway. A few visitors cast pitying glances back. Eager to get away from the unfolding, others rushed to the doors. Her rapid breathing was captured by the microphone that dangled in front of her. Her signature line was blank and unaltered as the document lay open. Every flash was more obtrusive than the last as the cameras continued to click. Daniel, her lover, approached her and muttered, "Liv, we must leave." Something is taking place. She shook her head while continuing to look at the papers. We don't understand. No, I was meant to have this. The ballroom was already emptying, though, with patrons departing in hushed murmurs and servers unsure of whether to pour or clean. There was a hint of panic and wine in the air. The glass she had thrown was still lying close to the table outside, beneath the same chandeliers that had witnessed her victory just moments before. Shards of the glass were strewn all over the marble, and a tiny pool of red seeped into the seams. From where she stood, Olivia's eyes spotted it, and her chest constricted until she was unable to breathe. A high, continuous ringing in her ears took the place of the muffled sound surrounding her. As the final members of the Trident crew vanished through the doors, she sunk softly into her chair. The lights, the speeches, and the clapping were all gone, as if nothing had ever occurred. She uttered his name in a scarcely discernible whisper in that vast solitude. Hunter. Hunter Caldwell was leaning back in his car somewhere far from that room, the city lights moving over his glass like ghosts. As the first alarms from Trident's internal system started to come in, he closed his eyes and allowed the silence to descend. Olivia Caldwell knew she had constructed her entire universe on a foundation owned by the guy she had just humiliated as the last sound of laughing within the ballroom faded into the clink of glass. With the windows partly open, Hunter took in the night air as he drove through Highland Park's peaceful streets. Long golden streaks of city light slid over the windshield. His hands remained steady on the steering wheel. Only the steady beat of the road and the sound of the engine. No music or phone calls. He reached up and undid his tie at a red light. He didn't bother to change despite the subtle, sour, and dry smell of wine lingering on the collar of his shirt. The light became green. He continued driving. The motion sensor lights softly illuminated the front of the house as he drew into the driveway. Everything appeared to be unaltered, serene, and in order just as he had left it. He went into the kitchen, poured himself a drink of water, and hung his jacket on the rack. There was a sense of earned silence around the house. He leaned on the counter, took a deep breath, and let it out slowly. On the marble surface, his phone buzzed. Pierce texted me to confirm that both orders were carried out. Hayes' second, every withdrawal is finished. By daybreak, the market will react. He didn't respond. After putting the glass in the sink and shutting off the kitchen light, he went down the hall. He undid his shirt cuffs in the bedroom, took a seat on the bed's edge, and gazed out the window at the pitch-black skyline. Then he laid back and closed his eyes without another thought. It was easy to fall asleep. Olivia was sitting motionless in the back row of the hall across town, her body trembling. The astonished expressions, the abrupt whispers, and the representative's statement, "The order came from the top. replayed themselves in her mind like a broken record, all while the ballroom lights continued to burn in her eyes. "Come on, Liv," Daniel said. "You can't stay here." She remained still. Her hair had fallen loose on her shoulders, her lipstick had faded to a pale outline, and the wine she had spilled earlier had left small red stains on the white of her dress. Daniel repeated, softer this time, "Olivia, let's move." She blinked, her voice shaky and low. "You're in shock. I understand." Everything just stopped. With a solid arm around her shoulders, he assisted her from the seat and said, "Let's get you out of here." Near the hotel exit, cameras flickered as reporters attempted to piece together what had transpired. Whispers and bewilderment had taken the place of the laughing that had filled the hall hours before. Daniel led her inside his black automobile after opening the passenger door. Reflections stretched over the glass like bruises as she leaned her head against the window and stared blankly at the passing city lights. He was silent while he drove. He assisted her in entering his flat when they arrived downtown. With her hands shaking in her lap, she collapsed into the couch while still wearing her heels. Daniel filled her glass with water and placed it in front of her. She abstained from alcohol. She merely gazed at the slight waves. Even if he didn't believe it, he tried to sound comforting by whispering, "It'll make sense in the morning." "It already doesn't," she muttered, and he remained silent. Only the dim brightness of the city peeked through the drapes as he switched off the lights. He turned to see that she was still staring at nothing, breathing shallowly and mentally repeating Hunter's last words, "Enjoy the celebration, Olivia. Where you're going, you'll need the light." She dozed out on the couch at some point close to dawn, her phone clenched in her palm and her makeup smudged. The world had already chosen her fate before dawn. Numerous notifications illuminated the black screen of her phone as it repeatedly buzzed. She stirred, eyes swollen from a restless night. With his phone in hand and a somber countenance, Daniel stood by the window. "Liv, you ought to see this." She gently sat up. "What is it?" He swung the screen in her direction. The same eye-catching headlines appeared in every major business outlet. Minutes before signing, Trident Infrastructure cancels a $800 million partnership. Unidentified investor retracts all of Caldwell Design Group's funding. Immediate backlash for a CEO who threw wine on his husband. She silently skimmed the sentences with her eyes. Every headline was like a blow to the body. When she checked her phone, she saw scores of missed calls, hundreds of unread messages, and social media accounts full with videos from the night before. Her chuckles, the wine splash, the quiet that followed. Everything had been captured on camera. In one slow-motion, close-up film, Hunter's face was struck by the wine's beautiful red arc before he turned away. She doused her husband with wine, according to the caption. Her whole agreement disappeared 10 minutes later. Olivia's hand shook. "This can't... No. Daniel's words broke the silence. "Liv, it's everywhere." Her chest rose and fell erratically as she put her palms to her forehead. The space seemed too small and too bright. Unaware that hers had ended the previous evening, the city went on outside. Cars, sunlight, and life. Hunter didn't have an alarm when he woke up across town. The house was still. He strolled barefoot to the kitchen, stretched, and filled a glass with water. His phone vibrated once, showing his name everywhere, trending headlines and news alerts. He refrained from opening them. The doorbell rang. One chime followed by another. He put down the drink and made his way to the entrance. Olivia was standing there when he opened it. She had puffy eyes. Her lipstick vanished completely. The ivory dress from the previous evening was now dingy and wrinkled. She appeared worn out and disoriented, as if she had run out of things to say before attempting to speak. "Hunter," she murmured, "may I enter?" He remained silent. He moved to the side. With her heels barely brushing the hardwood, she moved by him into the living room. She stood with her arms folded, staring at the ground for a considerable amount of time, as though attempting to regain her balance. Then with watery eyes, she turned to face him. She said, "Everything has gone wrong." "Everything. including the investors and the contract. The world seems to have changed overnight. Hunter remained silent. His face was unreadable as he folded his arms and leaned against the wall. "I don't understand it," she said, her voice shaking. "We were enjoying one moment and then I was simply halted by the representatives. They claimed that an instruction to end the deal had come from above. Despite her worry, she made an effort to smile. You are aware of how these things proceed. Perhaps there is a miscommunication. Most likely, someone sent the incorrect instruction or screwed up the papers. It will become evident. It must." Hunter's face remained unchanged. She paced and rubbed her temples. The emails then started to arrive. Every investment was pulled by Black Elm. The accounts have been frozen. The stocks are plummeting. The media has already begun to speak. I have no idea where to begin, Hunter. Nothing yet. Like she always did when anything went wrong, she looked at him and searched his face for solace. She muttered, "I didn't know where else to go." "I simply needed you." Hunter set a glass of water on the table between them after pouring it for her. He said, "You didn't sleep." "I was unable to." She held the glass while sitting with trembling hands, but she didn't take a sip. "Hunter, it's awful. Very terrible. This is unlike anything I've ever seen. My life seems to have been erased overnight by someone pressing a button." He spent a long time observing her. "Someone?" She gave a feeble nod. "I'm not sure who. Perhaps a rival. Perhaps a member of the board. I'll investigate. However, Her voice broke. "As usual, I just needed to let you know." Hunter passed her on his way to the window. His face was outlined in pale gold by the dawn light. His voice was steady and calm as he slowly turned. He remarked, "That's what you get when you bite the finger that feeds you." Her eyebrows knitted. "What do you mean?" "I issued the directive." The world halted for a second. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "You what?" The words struck like a punch. As if the air had been drawn from the room, she froze and stared at him. You did this?" He gave one nod. "Black Elm doesn't invest in people who degrade their own partners, and Trident doesn't work with haughtiness." Her voice cracked. "Black Elm, Trident." He gave her a look. "You didn't really inquire into the source of the funding, did you? Or who was the owner of the business you were trying so hard to impress?" Her knees grew weaker. "I trusted you, Olivia," he said. "From the shadows, I established your business. Through a trust and Black Elm, I was the source of every investor introduction and check. I believed I was fostering your development. However, you revealed your true feelings for me last night." Her cheeks were wet with tears. "I was unaware. I promise I was unaware." "You had no interest in doing so." She gave a headshake. "I was furious, Hunter. I didn't mean what I said. Let me solve this, please. Allow me to speak with anybody you require. I'm sorry." "Rebuild." He interrupted her. "This cannot be fixed. Please." Now her voice was hardly audible. "Don't treat me like this. Please don't let me lose everything. The sequence can be reversed. You can give them a call." He let out a slow, almost melancholy breath. "Olivia, you doused me with wine in front of a crowded room. I'm poor, you said. You said I wasn't deserving of standing next to you, and everyone in the city saw it take place. Which aspect of that would you like me to reverse first?" She moved in closer and took hold of his arm while sobbing. "Please, Hunter, I was foolish. I let my pride speak for me. I adore you." Glancing down at her hand, he slowly withdrew. "You don't love me. You love what I gave you." "That is untrue." He took the empty glass from the counter and placed it in the sink. "I didn't belong in your world, you once stated. You were correct." She shook her head and retreated. "Don't say that, please. We can make a fresh start. I'll go to any lengths. I'll quit the company. With a cool, collected voice, he turned to face her. You won't get another chance at what I've protected, and you can't start over from something you destroyed yourself." "What do you mean?" "The trust," he remarked plainly. "Everything I own, including my business and shares, is covered by an irreversible trust that I established before to our marriage. There is nothing you can touch, not in court, not in divorce, and not in settlement." Her breath caught. "Are you divorcing me?" "I've already given my attorney a call." She felt hollow after hearing the words. She stumbled back, holding onto the couch's edge for support. "Please, Hunter, I'll sign anything. Please don't abandon me." For a long, silent minute, he examined her face. "You did it already." She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. The room seemed to be engulfed by the dense hush that enveloped them. A bird landed on the window ledge outside, collecting sunlight with its wings before taking off. She fell to her knees and sobbed into her hands. "I'm pleading with you, Hunter. I can't handle this on my own." His expression was impenetrable as he gazed down at her. "You should have considered that before you threw wine on the man who built your future," he stated quietly but firmly. He strolled down the hall, turned aside, and shut the bedroom door. Olivia remained motionless, her sobbing resonating throughout the silent home. Sunlight glinted off the water glass, which remained untouched on the table. She realized for the first time what it meant to be truly silent, when even forgiveness had left the room. Do you believe Olivia should be given another opportunity, viewers? For more fascinating and real-life stories, please leave your thoughts in the comments section and remember to like and subscribe.